Hi, welcome to Chapter 17, Section 2 of the American Pageant. We're going to be covering today American blood on American soil, question mark. To profit and loss in Mexico. So the last time we are talking about Manifest Destiny, we talked about the presidency of Tyler and then the ascension of James K. Polk and the idea that America was chosen by God to spread their culture and their ways across the continent. And James K. Polk had four goals as president: lower tariffs, create a new national independent treasury, take over Texas, and settle take over Oregon, and then buy California. He was 3 for 3, and the last one, the California thing, didn't work. Mexico refused to sell it to us for $25 million, and then there was rumors going around that Britain was going to take it over. So if we can't buy it, we're going to take it. So on January 13th, 1846, James K. Polk ordered General Zachary Taylor to the Rio Grande. There was this border dispute with Mexico. We said that the border was the Rio Grande, which is the southern border of this map here. They said it was the Nueces River, which is a couple hundred miles north. And we knew what their dispute was. We knew what our dispute was, where our border. And so Zachary Taylor built a fort just on the north side of the Rio Grande. Mexican troops had already attacked Americans on April 25th, 1846. There were 16 Americans that were killed. So on May 9th, 1846, Polk asked Congress to declare war on Mexico on the basis of the unpaid claims. They had $3 million and they owed us, the Slidell rejection of purchasing California, and then news of the attack arrived that night. And so he was asking for a declaration of war even before they were attacked, but really this gave Americans some urgency. We built a fort on the north side of the Rio Grande, which to us is American soil. But to the Mexicans, we crossed into their borders and we built our fort on Mexican soil. They were defending their homeland. So there's kind of a rub there. And you can see how America kind of provoked what was going on. Many people in Congress accused Polk of provoking war. There was a young congressman from Illinois, a young representative, who wanted to know the exact spot of the attack. That young congressman was Abraham Lincoln. Mexico just wasn't willing to sell California, and war seemed to be the only way that we could get it. We really, really, really wanted it, though. Now, if you look at this is the old border of Texas. Texas used to be a lot differently shaped. The green was disputed between Mexico and the United States. The kind of light yellow there was actually where people lived. And then we have this dispute of which river is the border of the United States and Mexico. And if you look at it, it goes all the way up the mouth of the Rio Grande and the mouth of the Arkansas River to the north to a certain parallel, form the northern border, which is in western Colorado. We'll come back to that here a little later, actually right here. For our local Coleridge students, the border of Texas and Mexico went right through our little town of Newcastle. So everything that was west of like Elk Creek, Coleridge High School, Silt, that was all in Mexico. To the east, Castle Valley, where City Market is, Glenwood Springs, that was in Texas. So Abe Lincoln, a young Whig representative, wanted to know the exact spot that the Americans were attacked. These are called the spot resolutions. He only served one term in Congress, but this is kind of his lasting legacy as a congressman. He wanted to make sure if he's going to vote for war that we were attacked on American soil. Now, according to our border, yes, it's on American soil. According to Mexico's border, we invaded their country. Whoops. Both sides were eager to go to war. Mexico's mad about the whole Texas thing. We're ready to take California. America wants to expand. We have Manifest Destiny. And Mexico wants its land back, and it wants to free the slaves that the Texans are having. Both have legitimate claims on why they want to fight. And so in 1846, we have the beginning of the Mexican-American War. Polk wanted California, not war. He had hoped America could pull out of the war with California. That's all we want. We just want California. That's all I want. We don't want anything else. The American generals in the Mexican-American War, we have a three-pronged attack. You have Stephen Watts Kearny, who's going to lead 17,000 troops to take the trading post of Santa Fe, New Mexico. From there, he has instructions to move west through the desert and take California. He captured it pretty easily, and then he marched all the way to San Diego. Then you have California and the Bear Flag Republic. Upon hearing news of this, Californians rebelled against Mexico. Uh, Ooh, I hit the wrong button again. I'm sorry. So in 1846, Americans living in Sonoma rebelled against the Mexicans. They were led by John C. Fremont and Kit Carson. Well, they joined in after the rebellion. And Fremont wanted to conquer California, which upset the natives there, the Californios. And they declared themselves the Bear Flag Republic. And they have this flag here, and this is what it looks like. It looks more like kind of an awkward pig than a bear. You have naval interventions. John Sloat captured key ports along the coast. In fact, the first place the Navy landed in California to link up with these American rebels in the Bear Flag Republic was the port of Monterey. Eventually, they also landed in San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, all those wonderful places. At the same time, many Californios were rebelling when they left, and so it's just kind of a mess. They didn't really want to be under American rule, but with naval intervention, they kind of listened. Once the American Navy was gone, they rebelled against the Americans that were there. Kearny, who just showed up from Santa Fe through the desert, is like, what's going on with this rebellion? So the Navy was here to help. He had to quell them, and he had to, he was kind of exhausted from this cross-desert march, and had to take care of a lot of it, and bring peace to Monterey, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, all these old Spanish missions up and down the coast. This is the Customs House here in Monterey, California, where the American sailors first set foot to help the Bear Flag Republic there. You can see here these are the missions that were formed in California. The Presidio is the forts that were there, and then the El Camino Real, which is the Royal Road that linked all of them. And a lot of those things were what were taken over by the Americans and the Navy that showed up to get them on our side. The other generals, I mentioned Stephen Watts Kearny. The next one was General Zachary Taylor. Pictured here, his nickname was Old Rough and Ready. He looks a little rough and ready. It looks like he just woke up. He won many victories, including a victory over a large Mexican force at Buena Vista. His goal was to invade Mexico from Texas, to go south from his fort at the Rio Grande and take over Mexico and secure basically that Rio Grande as a border. He's going to push the Mexicans further away from that and invade northern Mexico. He secured the northern desert of Mexico, and he secured the Rio Grande as the border. So we got Stephen Watts Kearny taking Santa Fe and then moving on to California. You have the Navy helping out there with the Bear Flag Republic. You have Zachary Taylor pushing southward from Texas to secure the Rio Grande. And the last general is General Winfield Scott. And his troops landed at the port of Veracruz in the Gulf of Mexico in March 1847. Their goal was to take Mexico City. I thought we just wanted California. But back then, to subdue a nation, because you want to go to war, you have to take their capital. And if you take their capital, it's a way to negotiate. It's a bargaining chip, is what Americans saw. Now, General Winfield Scott was called Old Fuss and Feathers. We got Old Rough and Ready, and we got Old Fuss and Feathers. After a 3-week siege at Veracruz, they broke out and they marched inland for 300 miles up through the Sierra Madre Mountains to Mexico City. It was a pretty arduous march through rough terrain, through a hostile population. It was not easy for them at all. They had to climb the mountains, fight the hostile population. The Mexicans, being desperate, brought Santa Anna back to command the army. The capital fell in September 1847. The Americans and the Mexicans there fought valiantly. Mexico surrendered after the Battle of Chapultepec. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And there was a military school there in which young boys fought valiantly on the cliffs of the hills of Mexico City to save their country, to save their flag. And it was, sadly, it wasn't to be their victory that day. He was so famous, Winfield Scott, that he became Abe Lincoln's first choice to lead the Union Army after the Civil War. Too bad he was too fat to ever mount a horse again at that point. But America had won the Mexican-American War. You can kind of see what's going on here. You have John C. Fremont moving from Bent's Fort, which is in Colorado, all the way out to Yerba Buena. That's where Richard Nixon was from. And then you have Kearny moving down from Santa Fe all the way to the coast. You have Zachary Taylor pushing southward from northern Texas southern Texas, northern Mexico. And then you have the siege at Veracruz and taking of Mexico City. Here's some of the siege at Veracruz there. This is the fighting in Mexico City to take out this big citadel. Some more paintings of the Mexican-American War. Many of the leaders of the Civil War got their first taste of combat in this war. The Americans parading through the streets of Mexico City, the American flag flying in the background. Kind of bizarre and odd to think, really. And here's a map of General Winfield Scott's campaign from March until September. Major battles going on there, and you can see, around Mexico City and all that going on. So the war cost about $100 million. 1,733 Americans died in battle. 11,000 died of disease because of poor medicine and all that stuff going on. Mexico lost about 16 to 25,000 men. The estimates aren't great on that. Finally, though, they did sign the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo on February 2nd, 1848. America gave Mexico City back. The guy who signed this is Nicholas Trist. He was the chief clerk for the State Department. He signed it. In it, the United States received California and New Mexico, which, that sounds like two states, but if you look at the map, Mexican Cession, as it's called, included all of California, Nevada, Utah, parts of Arizona, parts of New Mexico, and parts of Colorado and Wyoming. In return, we paid them $15 million, and we gave them Mexico City back. Just months after the ink was dry, not even barely dry from this treaty, gold was discovered in California. The largest gold strike in American history. It sparked the California Gold Rush. And then they also finally agreed on the Rio Grande as the border. And so most of these states you see in red, pretty much taken from Mexico. Yes, the United States gave their capital back and paid them $15 million. You decide, was it taken or was it bought? That's your choice. The anti-slavery Whigs in Congress, the conscious Whigs, opposed the treaty because originally they had opposed the war. Expansionists also opposed the treaty because why are we giving Mexico back? Let's keep it, man. We took their capital. What's going on here? The Mexican War, though, provided field experience for the officers who become generals in the Civil War, including a young Robert E. Lee, Captain Robert E. Lee, a Lieutenant Ulysses S. Grant. It led to some poor relations with Latin America. We had that Monroe Doctrine where we're supposed to stick up for them and help them. But they're not real happy. I mean, we took Mexico City. We took all this land. We took 51% of their land from them. That's a big chunk of it. The guy in the picture, David Wilmot, said he proposed an amendment that said, you know what? This whole new territory we got should remain slave-free. The Wilmot Proviso, as it's known, never passed the Senate because Southern members did not want to remove the possibility of future slave states. And many historians, and maybe they're correct, I think they might be, believe that slavery in itself in the South, if it was left alone, probably wouldn't have caused this great big civil war. But every new territory that we moved west and acquired as Americans reignited, these passions and, kind of opened old wounds because the question came up. I mean, we got this new land. Can we have slaves? Well, no. Why do you want slaves? We want slaves. And so it inflamed the impassioned people of America to fight because they want this slavery. And this westward expansion kept bringing up the issue after issue. And it really helps lead to the Civil War. So here's our timeline for this. Here are the questions if you want to practice. If you have any questions, let me know, especially with the Mexican-American War. I didn't go into too detail, just kind of gave you some general what's going on. Remember with the AP exam, they don't really worry too much about military history, which is unfortunate because military history is really fun. So have a good day.